This video is a video about our addiction to pain, and I want to really pin this into this current timeline, this now moment. You know, this is where we're at right now, okay? Gonna cut straight to the core here. How was your solstice? How was your post solstice? I am feeling I'm processing hard today. Like, there was a lot that happened yesterday. The morning was fantastic. The afternoon, not so much, and I was purging like a mofo, and it was snot and tears, and it was just coming. And there were so many different frequencies and energy fields and conditioning and programming coming out of me that I couldn't ascertain which one was which, so you just had to let go and just let it fly through. And the words I used yesterday was, through my snot and tears, was, oh my God, there is just so much energy just being released through me that even my mind was stressed to try and keep up with the flow of attaching every negative emotion, experience, feeling to a story. I went beyond that. Even my head sat back and went, oh, Jesus, I can't keep up with this. You're just way too much. So that's where I went yesterday afternoon. And then I spent the whole of the afternoon just feeling so exhausted and tired, because that's the level of purging we're at right now. We don't really need to know, okay, where it's all coming from. But what we do need to do is understand ourselves as a portal, because that's what we are. We are portals. We are channelers. We are receivers. We are, transmitters, but that energy's got to run through. So I think right now we're really coming back to the basics of just understanding that we are a portal. We don't need to, a river doesn't connect with every single pebble in its bed. You know what I mean? Because it's just all part of the wholeness. Just let it flow, man. And I think that's where we're all at. So yeah, so it's basically going back to that and just like open, just let it flow, Now, I want to dive straight into something here. I had a very, very powerful conversation with my soul sister, San, and I have to mention her because she was the one that pinged it on my radar. And I thought, right, I've remembered about how all of this works, because sometimes we forget, right? And as I was talking, and I'm just going to paint the picture, because then obviously there's resonance your side, and that's where we get to work, because if there's resonance and we connect, and it is indeed making sense to you, then this video will make sense to you even more, right? So the whole month of December, in fact, let's just not give it a timeline. This peak and crescendo of energy, okay, and these portals and these moves and everything like that, really bringing up the depths of everything, right? And we are literally, it's like getting right to the deep, deep, dark and nasties. It's flying out of us, and it's like, it's the dregs, right? So there's a lot of energy in there. There's a lot of old stuff, past life, this life, whatever. It's all coming out, family lineage, the whole lot. It's all being done, all different directions, which is why we're pummeled and we're looking a little bit like a golf ball, right? So anyway, a lot of us that are doing this energy work, we know how this works, right? We know that everything in our lives that is created, every bit of our reality comes from within, because what you create within is basically what you're going to experience out there, all right? And if you haven't got to that point yet, when you do embody that understanding, then things will become a lot easier for you to unpack this. Because if you're holding pain within you, that is going to reflect outside of you in a mirror with a person, situation, place, whatever. So you can ultimately come back in here and unpack, because the bottom line is we are all awareness, frequency, consciousness. And when we're in that vibration, everything is fine. There is nothing wrong in the world. We are just joy, bliss vibes. That's the truth of who we really are. This pain and suffering and this stickiness that we're carrying and pain, this is not who we are. And this is why it's so intense right now, because now that realization is landing and we need to get rid of this shit so we can get to the truth of who we are, joy, heart, bliss, right? So, but we've carried this for a very, very long time. So this is a very ingrained programs, very ingrained ways of being, even to the first time that as a light being incarnate, when you first landed on the Earth star, right? We're going way back. So don't be too hard on yourself. Like this root system is deep, man. And that's where we're digging it up from right now. So we were talking today and I was saying, I am just working like 12 hours a day, and I'm just in this cycle, I'm kind of like overthinking the joy out of everything, and I know better. I know that this isn't the way, certain things that I'm doing. I'm like, this is old paradigm stuff. This is the old way. I know what the new way is. So I'm actually looking at myself like a second person, playing out stuff, going back into those old ways that all they're giving me is frustration, pain, heartache, but I just can't seem to leave it alone. It's a bit like picking a spot or picking a scab, and your mom's going, leave it alone. So you pick it, leave it alone. Pick it even more. Leave it alone until it bleeds. It's really sore, and then you've got a dirty, great scar there. I can't seem to leave it alone. But the difference is in this timeline now, different to all the timelines that have come to pass, in this now moment of my journey, I know better. I have seen what, like, I have had huge flashes of 5D consciousness. I've seen the beauty. I've experienced it so much in my system that I've kind of like been so overwhelmed that I thought I was literally going to burst into a million stars, and it was amazing and magical, and then boom, flattened. So that's the difference. Flattened, old paradigm. Stars, new paradigm. And we've all experienced highs and lows with that because it's been coming in. So that's where we have to, first of all, ascertain the difference between what is old paradigm, new paradigm. There you have it, right? Now, I know exactly what it takes to actually be, and what I need to do, or what I need to receive, or how I need to be still to be able to entertain the 5D and above paradigm, or let's just call it the light, right? The good stuff. So why am I going back into these like old programs that I know don't serve me? I know what the outcome is. It's a bit like watching a movie over and over and over again. You've watched it way too many times now. You know the script, you know who's going to walk in the room, you know who's going to basically fight with who, you know who's going to sleep with somebody's girlfriend. I mean, you know the story and you know the outcome, but yes, you press play again. Let's watch this video. And quite frankly, you're bloody bored of it, but you keep pressing play. Why do we keep going in and doing that? So then my friend Sam turned around today and said, well, you're addicted to your pain. And then everything just turned on. And I was like, that's where we're at right now. We are in addiction phase of our pain. Okay, so it's actually not even about the subject matter, the person, the place, the situation, which is an issue. It's about our addiction to our pain. Now, I know that all addiction is addiction to suffering, okay? I think we've all known that as light workers, but to have it reintroduced and dropped in my lap today when I was in this current process of the intensity of being in the eye in the storm, and then you're addicted to your pain, I was like, there we go, there's the answer. So right now, when the way I see it, imagine if you are full like heroin addict, you've been locked in the basement now, you're 4 days into your process, you're going to be sweating, yo. You're going to feel pain in your body. You're going to be fighting to get the cuffs off because you want to be not cuffed to the bed. You'll be angry with everybody and you just feel like shit and you're like, ah, do you know what I mean? That's kind of where we're at. Or maybe that's just me, I don't know, but you get the idea, right? So that's where we're at. But just now, if you just stick with it, in a couple of days' time, the fever's going to break. The chemicals and the poisons and the toxins are just going to out your body. You're going to look fresh as a daisy, and then you're not going to be addicted anymore. You are no longer going to be controlled by that dark side demon, whatever you want to call it, you know, your dark stuff, right? Your shadow stuff. You're not going to be controlled by it because you purged it all the way out. So this may resonate with you where you are right now, you know, and as shitty as it may feel, and overwhelming because it's very intense coming at you, you know, this too is going to pass, you know, so, and it's going to pass very quickly. So that's kind of where we are. So the reason I'm sharing this is I want us to look at the addiction to pain, because the thing is, I have the map and compass now. So do all of you, right? We know what 5D looks like because we've experienced it. We know you know, what the light side is like. We know what it's like when our day's in flow and we're creating and everything's fine. So what now? Do you know what I mean? We know what that feels like, you know? So we know better. So why would we go over there? Why would we do that? Why would you go and basically go and you have an opportunity to go and like holiday in the Bahamas, but you're going to go and sit in the middle of the Bronx, you know, or somewhere where there's just like gunshots and just, you know, mayhem. Why are you going to go and sit like, you know, in those dark back alleys, do you know what I mean? And just sleep in the bins. That's kind of where we're at. Why? Because you're addicted to that. Now that makes a lot of sense to me. So now moving along from that process, right? Because that's the phase where we're at. And this might, like I say, make a lot of sense to you. Also what came in the conversation today, which I know personally that I've forgotten about, is yes, we're clearing. I mean, I have just been, oh gosh, the energy comes in, I open, I release, and I'm just allowing all this repressed emotion to come out because I know that it needs to come out, right? But I have forgotten to think about with my heart brain. I have forgotten to think about what life is going to look like beyond this. So we've got this going on here, and I likened it to living in a basement flat, right? So basement flat is dark, it's dingy, and you've got like, you know, so much furniture and you move it around, looks looks okay. But then it still feels a bit dingy after a week or so. So you change it around again. And maybe you move the curtains around and put a plant in the corner and just try and lift the vibration, a couple of candles over there. Eventually, you're going to run out of ideas, because the bottom line is you're in a basement flat. So you know that you have to move out the basement flat because you need to move to a top apartment where there's light all around, the sun can get in, and you just have light and you can see out your windows. Eventually, you've got to leave that space. You've done everything you can to redress that environment, to kind of make it bearable, as we were talking today, where you can manage your environment, you can actually be in it. But eventually, that's going to run out on you, which is now. And we need to now move to a completely different apartment. What does that look like? Are you on the roof? Do you have a rooftop apartment? Is it a penthouse? You know, what does it look like? Do you have a jacuzzi on your balcony? What does your brand new look like? And I'm going to bring this down to, like, you know, base matter now. Like, for example, because I always use myself as an example so we can relate. And then, of course, you can cross over, you know, to how it is in your life. Now, as you all know, like, you know, I kind of work with the way shows, the leaders, the pioneers, rah, starseed vibes or whatever. You know, those that need, like, that's all of us, got to bring our leadership skills online, got to step into the fullness of who we are, right? Got to access our maximum capacity and being in our wholeness, all of those vibes, right? So basically now where we're at is like we need to be accessing those gifts and abilities, right? Because we're all about being empowered. We need to access those gifts and abilities, and we now need to place them somewhere. Do you know what I mean? We can't keep keeping them so small, living in a basement flat. We've now got to place them somewhere and start using our manifestation skills. Start using what we've got available to us, which is all of that, right? So now, instead of like focusing on the clearing, which I've actually said many times, and I can't believe I'm only remembering it now, but like, you know, just less of the clearing and clicking into more of the creating, right? Focusing on what you do want, because what can happen is we spend so much time clearing, which has kind of happened to me in the past couple of weeks. We get stuck there, but we've forgotten to create our new. So if we create our new and put all of that energy we put in there up here, and we think about that a bit more, this gets done anyway. Because if you're bringing this in, it squeezes the shadow out anyway. Do you know what I mean? So that's what we need to do. So like, as I say, I work with all the peeps that want to create their own businesses. You know, all of you are divine creators. You just need to come out the cave and access that. Do you know what I mean? So now it's a case of like, you know, well, what are we creating? So for me next year, obviously, I have my Egypt tour. I have a awesome retreat in February, you know, here in Cape Town, and there's other retreats to come, and I need to spend way more time now developing 2023, because 2022 is on fleek, man. Because why? At some moment in all this process, I did spend a lot of time, and I have spent a lot of time is infinite, but whatever, I've spent a lot of energy creating my new. But now, last couple of weeks, I've kind of come away from that and got focused in my shit. So now I need to kind of go, oh, we're not doing this anymore, and come back to here and create more of my new. I've already built my foundation for my brand new 2022 and beyond life, and I'm very happy for it. And I've actually surprised myself as to the boundaries I've broken down. And it's been a lot of fun as well. But what I'm saying to you and myself as well is I need to focus more on that now and keep building and keep building, keep building, because that's what makes me happy. That's what's giving me complete joy vibes, connecting with people all over the world because of Egypt, because that makes my heart sing. You talk to me about Egypt, I'm all over it, man. And to speak to other beings that connect with that as well, that's double, triple, quadruple joy. So why am I doing that in my basement flat when I could be doing way more than that, you know, way more of this? So this is my point. This is my point. So we need to just shift our focus. So I'm asking you now, what is your version of the Egypt tour? What is your version of my version, if you know what I mean? You know, is it to like, you know, maybe start a art studio? Is it to, you know, open a coffee shop? You know, maybe you want to just basically get the hell out of Dodge and go move to a different country, because now all the flights are open and there's a brand new way about to come through. There is no restriction. What does that look like to you? Do you want to just move into a new house? That's also a huge shift. What does it look like? So I think when we start to shift our energy into the newness collectively, we go up a level. So this is kind of like a reminder, I think, to all of us that that's where we need to go. Because you can most certainly get lost in your own darkness, which is kind of what's happened for me personally. And I always know that once I go through something, there's someone out there is going to resonate with the same vibe as me. So, you know, so that's just a really, really good reminder. So today, addiction to pain, look at that. And are you creating your new? And what does that look like? More energy on the new. Okay. So talking about the new, I mean, like, you know, if you're ready to dive in and really anchor, and this is why I do retreats and groups and things like that, because it takes big strides to bring big changes. So, I mean, we have this awesome retreat at Bodhikaya in Cape Town. It doesn't matter if you're international, come in and make it a whole pilgrimage. Come to the retreat. It's a 4-day event where we're going to be working with cacao, breath work, shamanic work, all sorts of things in the most paradise place. And then we also have the tour in April 2022 as well, and other things beyond, watch this space. But my point is like, this is why I brought this in this timeline, because we need to step from how little workshops, maybe no workshops, maybe you didn't even get that far, to come into big things, magical things, in paradise places, you know, and why can't you have that? So think big, think high, think golden. So that's just something to sit with as you move through this. You know, whereabouts is your eye line? Is it here or is it here? So all of that I was spoken about is in the Linktree link within this post. So go have a look at that. Plus there's a lot of other like free, no cost stuff, like radical stuff to kind of like bring your sparkles online, which will help you start to think in that direction. So knock yourself out and enjoy. But otherwise, I just wanted to share this message that I came through like a freight train today, and I really do hope it helps. But other than that, we just keep on trucking. Thank you again for listening and watching, and keep doing you, boo, because so far you're doing amazing.